Well, folks, we have got number one, just one of the best guys in the world, but also just an iconic voice in country music, and just a dear man on the phone, John Conlee. How you doing,
Hey,
John?
John.
I'm doing great. Good to talk to y'all.
Good to talk to you and to hear your voice.
Yeah, glad to have you on.
Yes, so good to hear you. And
Thank you.
we have been obviously listening to your music for many years, and just what an incredible career. And we're based. Swanky Southern Nights is based here at Southern Roots Radio, so we dig into roots a little bit. And you're Kentucky born, is that right? Kentucky born and raised.
I am. Yeah, I was raised on a farm in Woodford County, Kentucky. Versailles is the town, and it's
Yeah.
about now it's a suburb of Lexington, but
Yeah.
it's about 12 miles from Lexington.
Yes, yes. And now, were you making music when you were growing up in Kentucky? When did that begin?
Yeah, that was the first thing I was attracted to as a hobby was music. I started taking guitar lessons when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and once I learned a handful of chords that I could use to sing to, that was where the guitar went. I never did learn it instrumentally,
Yeah.
but so I've been doing it all my life, and involved in church music and school music, and we had a barbershop chorus in Versailles in those days. I was part of that back then, and a little
Yeah.
bit of everything.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you obviously you were getting into the music side of things as a kid, but eventually, I know you got into radio. Did you start that in Kentucky, or was that a Nashville
did.
thing? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. I started in Fort Knox, at a station in Fort Knox. The plan was to spend a few months getting my feet wet in radio at other stations, and then I came back home to put a news station on the air in Versailles. Spent a year there, and then got a job at WLAC in Nashville,
Yeah.
and that's what brought me to Nashville.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
He
that's
has a love for radio too.
yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I fell in love with radio and music at the same time. When
Yeah.
I did the guitar lesson, only lasted about a half hour on Saturday morning, and I would go across the street after the lesson
Yeah.
and hang out at the local radio station in Lexington.
Mhm.
And I spent more time actually practicing reading commercial and news copy
Yeah.
than I did the guitar when you get right down to it. But I fell in love with both things at the same time.
I
Yeah.
love that. Now, you probably met a lot of music industry people while you were doing your radio shows, right?
That's exactly right. And the only reason music worked out as a career is because of that, because I ended up in Nashville. And I didn't move to Nashville to do music. I moved here because I got that job at WLAC.
Wow.
And but after been here a while, I worked with a guy named Dick Kent who knew everybody on Music Row. And when I started to write a little bit, he could pick up the phone and get me an appointment to go play my songs for people. And I did that in my spare time until finally we had an offer to record, and we took off from there.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, you moved here for radio, and then Nashville got one of the best voices they've ever heard in country music. You
No
know,
kidding.
Thank
it's
you.
amazing.
Yes, and in an
Thank you.
and in an era when you began your career, when just having a voice that was unique,
Yeah.
like yours.
Well, that and
it's
yeah,
special.
people were looking for it. Now, somehow the industry doesn't even find it by accident, it seems.
Yeah.
And that's very frustrating for me as a listener.
Yes, indeed. But everybody knows who John Conlee is when you start
Yes.
singing. That's for sure.
Yes.
And that's
Right.
that's just a
I'm
wonderful
blessed
thing.
that a definite blessing. And people ask me, how did I develop the voice?
Yeah.
And I credit radio for a lot of it, because my singing prior to my time in radio was a much different sound. It was a softer folk type sound. But after using my voice to speak for 9 years in radio, it developed
Yeah.
and morphed into the sound that I have now. And I spent WLAC in those days was a blues station at night.
Yeah.
So I got to work with John R. and Hoss Allen and those guys, and I listened
Yes.
to the music anyway. So I kind of incorporated a little blues into the country.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, and I know that you've got a love for blues, and I was going to actually dig into that a little bit because, with our show, Swanky Southern Nights, we play, blends of classic jazz and classic country, and those elements really do blend well together. And sometimes, I'm a Memphis boy, as you know, so a lot of times there's some blues and soul mixed in there as well. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
who who were your influences, musically, kind of that inspired you when you were first starting?
Well, growing up, of course, I was a child of the '60s, so rock and roll came into its own kind of in those
Yeah.
days. But
Mhm.
I spent more time listening and was more attracted to the R&B stuff, the Motown sound,
Yeah.
than I was the rock and roll. In fact, I hated Sugar Sugar when it came out to begin with, let alone playing it as an oldie. I can't hardly listen to it as a pop, the bubblegum stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just loved R&B, and Ray Charles is my favorite all-time artist.
Well,
I always list him as my favorite. But I love a lot of different people, but they have to sing with soul. It has to, it's Merle Haggard and Frank Sinatra and
yes.
Tony Bennett and George Jones and Ray and Aretha and BB,
John Conlee.
all those
Yeah,
folks.
John, you
You
just
forgot John Conlee,
he,
but
he
yes.
pretty much just named all the artists we play on Swanky
You
Southern
sure did.
Nights.
You just named our roster because I'm with you,
Well, good.
John. I'm with you, John.
Yeah.
My favorite artist of all time and greatest inspiration was Ray Charles as well. And you did a Ray Charles song that "Busted" was a big song for you.
I did. It was a hit for him. Of course, he had the biggest one because it crossed into pop for him, as it should have. And we took it to the studio, just figured just for fun because I loved the song,
Yeah.
and never dreaming it would end up being a single for me as well. But it was a hit for me as well, and we do it in every show.
That's awesome. That's a fun song. That's a lot of fun. Now, speaking of songs, I mean, you've had so many great songs through the years, and is it 7 number one Billboard songs you've had? Is that correct?
That's what most of the research says. In those days there were 3 or 4 charts that people looked at,
Mhm.
Cashbox and R&R and Billboard. Now it's down to basically Billboard for the most part.
Yeah.
But I think that on the Billboard thing it was 7 number ones.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So far.
And one of the one of the ones that did not make it to number one is Rose-Colored Glasses, but it's still the most popular thing I've ever done,
Isn't that
and
something?
it become a standard of music. But
Wow.
7 is as high as it got on the national charts, which underlines just how unimportant the numbers can be.
Exactly. Wow.
No kidding.
Wow.
No
I can't believe
kidding.
that's
Yeah.
not one of them.
My goodness. Wow. Isn't that something?
It really
Wow.
is. Yeah, that's why I said so far. That one will be next.
Well, and that one, that just that's the song that most people equate you with.
Oh, sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, it is my signature song. And
Yeah.
again, it has become a standard of music.
Mhm.
And just to explain how that happened, what people don't understand, because nobody in the public subscribes to the charts,
Yeah, sure.
we tout them all the time, and they are a publicity thing. But the reason it didn't go number one is because to have a number one record, all of the stations in the country have to take it up their charts at the same time. And Rose started in Houston, Texas, spread to the rest of the Southwest from there, then to the Northeast, then to the East, then to the West.
Hmm.
And it bicycled itself around the country over a period of months.
Hmm.
So it stayed on the charts forever.
Yeah.
But not all the stations took it up at the same time and
Right.
or played it at the same time. That's the reason, technically, why that didn't go
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah, and they stayed on the charts a lot longer in that at that time too, which is
Yeah, I think
helpful.
it stayed on for about half a year,
Wow.
23, 24 weeks, something like that.
Wow. Wow. Well, you've had so many incredible songs, and I know that you and of course Bud Logan, and have had through the years just really found so many great songs, and I really really have a great respect for that because there are a lot of great songs out there, but you just know how to pick them. I mean they're just standards. They're wonderful. All of
Well,
them.
yeah, we looked for songs that touched our hearts. I never went to the studio with a song that I said, okay, I think this is a hit. I don't really like it that much, but I'm going to record it because I think it's a hit. Never did it that way.
Yeah.
It had to move me in some way to go to the studio with it.
Yes.
And Bud and I just kind of saw eye to eye on songs. We liked the same things.
Mhm.
And he was in town all the time. He's the reason we were able to find songs like Old School and
Yes.
I'm Only in It for the Love and
Yes.
Busted, because he had relationships with the writers and the publishers.
Yes.
And that makes all the difference in the world. Again, that's another thing I'm thankful for. I wouldn't be interested in doing country the way they're doing it now,
Yeah.
because it is not song oriented enough for me.
Right.
I would not. I couldn't stand it. So I'm glad I got to do it when I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, just wonderful songs, and as you said, they move you in some way. All of John Conlee's work. So yeah, we encourage all of our listeners to dig deep into that catalog because there's some great music in there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
John, you recorded one of Mackie Kaler's.
That was
songs,
not what I
right?
was alluding
No,
to.
no.
Well, again, another great song.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. It appears on one of our albums. I guess it's the gospel album is where it showed up. But
What else does
great
he have
song.
to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else does he have to do? We do it if we're on the Opry around Easter time. That's usually when we pull it out, perform it on the Opry.
Yeah, it's very special to hear your voice on that song, John. It really is.
Well, it's a great song. It has a great message, a great story.
Yeah, and speaking of gospel music, you have a brand new gospel project coming out soon, right, John?
Yeah, I do. We've been working on it for the last 2 or 3 years. We have all the music done for it, but I'm still working on the artwork and the other, final details before we release it. But we're hoping to have it out soon. And we'll be doing at least one song from that project when we show up for the show.
Oh, good.
Very good.
Yeah, let's tell them about the show, Brenda Lynn.
Yeah, it's going to be in Manchester, Tennessee, just a couple weeks away, October 24th. And yeah, Mackie, the two of us, we're going to get to open for this amazing artist that night.
Thrilled about that.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yes, just us and my little piano.
It'd be great to hear you.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And y'all can get tickets at onfireconcerts.com. That's going to be October 24th in Manchester, Tennessee. Yeah, at the Arts Center.
Yeah, you want to see John for sure. And what a great show. I mean, you've been on the road forever, right? I mean, as long as I've known about you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like forever.
Yeah.
We still we've cut back way back compared to the number we once did. The most I ever did was about 120 shows throughout the year. We're down to maybe 30 now, and I'm skipping summer for the most part.
Okay.
Because of the heat.
Yes.
So we're basically doing a few dates in the spring and a few dates in the fall, and that's kind of all we're doing these days.
Yeah, well, and I have to tell the folks too. You've got an incredible band. Steve Seckler, also a buddy of mine, is just an incredible a guitar player, and you've just got a great band and great people surrounding you. I'm friends with Dave Roberts and Diane Cash and all those folks. You've been very blessed to have a great team, and they're blessed to work with you. So it's
and a long time. Dave and I worked in the funeral profession of all things back when we were kids and were distantly related.
Yes.
So, I ended up talking him into coming to Nashville, and he learned the business, and he's been my manager now for forever. Yeah. Steve's been with me in the band for literally my whole career.
Yeah.
And I think the newest member of our group, one of them is like 25, 26 years. So,
wow.
I mean, they've all been around a while, and I love that. That was a goal, is to have longevity as a career and to also keep people around me that I knew and not have a merry-go-round, people coming and going all the time.
Yeah, well, that says a lot about you as a person and an artist too, because they want to stick around too, and obviously the things I know about you, you have a lot of integrity, and that's just a wonderful thing to have a great team like that, and for them to work with you. Now, you mentioned the funeral business, so do you still keep that license, or you doing?
I do. I renew them every year. They have it now so that if you don't practice, and I don't practice it, but you don't have to do the continuing education stuff that every year, like people who do practice have to do. So I send in my money and get my Kentucky license renewed every summer.
Wow. And what exactly is that license? Is that I don't know the terminology, and I don't want to offend anybody by saying something wrong. Is that a mortician's license or a funeral director license? What is that?
Well, most states have two licenses. Funeral director is one, and you can have that by itself, and the other is the embalmer's license. And I have both.
Okay.
Most people who do it full time have both licenses, and that's the case with me. I went to school for a year and learned the answers to the test, the 1,000-question test. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I don't let them expire. Yeah. If you let the license expire, you have to go take that test again, and I don't think I want to do that.
Right. No kidding. No kidding. Well, you're doing pretty good. You know, you're getting the hang of the music thing. You should stick with that.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that's going to work out. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, singing better than ever.
Yeah, really and
Beautiful.
truly, we were just talking about that before you got on the phone. Your voice is just as more vibrant, really, through the years as I hear you. It's to what do you attribute that?
Just being another of my many blessings. I had nothing to do with it. It has held up in spite of me, in spite of the my diet and and that kind of stuff. The best thing I did for my voice and my health was I quit smoking nearly 30 years ago now, after smoking for 35 years.
Wow.
And that did more for my breathing and not having to cough every 3 seconds and all that than anything else I've done. But other than that, I mean, that's it.
Wow.
Good for you. Yeah. That's good. Now you're a member of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. We know,
right?
And have been for quite a few years, and of the Grand Ole Opry, and you're on the Opry quite a bit. And still doing that.
I do it about once a week. Is about the way it works out. But basically, when I'm home, I'm available and out there.
Yeah.
And I love that. We're getting ready to celebrate 100 years next year.
Yes.
The birthday of the Opry, and it's a special place. It's another of the things that I'm most proud of in my career is being a part of it.
Yes, and I'm sure that you've gotten to share that stage with a lot of the other country music legends through the years, and that's got to be a huge blessing.
Oh, it is. It is indeed. The fact that I got to share those boards with Roy Acuff and Minnie Pearl and Bill Monroe and little Jimmy Dickens. First songbook I ever bought when I was taking those guitar lessons we've talked about was Little Jimmy Dickens Songbook #1. And never dreaming I'd ever meet him or work with him. But so I wouldn't trade that for anything. Now I'm one of the elder members out there, which doesn't compute to me sometimes. I wouldn't. I'm so glad I got to work with those people.
Yeah.
They're
so
the icons of this business.
So in your head, how old are you, John?
Well, my body
just on the backside
doesn't agree
of 30,
with
right?
me, but thinking wise, I'm in my 30s probably.
The backside of 30?
I'm more than double that. I'm 78, so my body tells me that I am 78 too.
Well, I hope that I'm that vibrant and have my voice continues to be as strong. You just sound so amazing. Every time I hear you, just sounds better.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, it's not my fault, but I'm pleased that it's that way. If something were to happen. A lot of singers decline as they age, and if that happens to me, then I will not present myself publicly to sing. But as long as it holds up, that's what I'm supposed to do, so I do it.
Absolutely,
Love it.
Yeah, well, we love hearing you, and it's been a pleasure talking with you this morning. And folks, you definitely want to check out October 24th in Manchester, Tennessee, On Fire Concerts.
.com, yes.
.com is
get your
where
tickets.
Yep, that's where you get the tickets, and we'll be happy to be there as well. We're going to be thrilled to be there.
I'm so excited to hear you live again, John Conlee. You're awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you. It's going to be fun. We'll all have fun.
Yeah.
And we'll get to hang with some folks right here in the state. We don't get to do that much inside Tennessee as far as full shows.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes,
indeed.
absolutely.
Well, all the best, brother, and thank you so much for being on our show. We really appreciate you and your incredible music. So thank you, John.
Thank you so much. We'll see you in a few days.
All right.
Great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.